Telltale likes to make the claim that your choices matter when you play their games, but really, they don't. In my opinion, the intro of the first season of the Walking Dead game perfectly describes this. Of course, I am talking about the scene where Lee is going to prison in a police car. Let's go over it. The player can choose different dialogue choices and the officer will react to it, but regardless, information about Lee will be told to the player. You cannot avoid that. So at the very least, some choices offer different outcomes, but in a minimal way. You can examine several things during the police car ride. They don't matter much, so I guess it's nice. There's a moment where the officer is being an arse to Lee, and regardless of how you want to respond, Lee won't reply. A choice you thought you had is taken away from you. Finally, no matter the choices you picked, the officer will crash his car in the end. Plus, I love how the officer mentions not to worry about things you can't control. Just a little ironic, don't you think? This one scene, in my opinion, is the perfect example of the format that Telltale use for their games. You see, it's like going from A to B, but really there's no choices. Lee was going to prison, and the police car crashes. You can't change that. And this is no different from the rest of the games made by Telltale. Of course, you will get some differences depending on what you choose to say or do. However, they don't matter in the long run. So much for the idea that your choices matter. So, if the choices you make don't make a difference in the game, why do so many people play their games? Their biggest selling point is just a lie. Your choices affect the game minimally. Telltale makes the player go from A to B. The player can never change that. So what makes their game appealing? Well, it's the writing. If the writing is good enough, it can carry the game. It's why myself and many others adore Season 1 of the Walking Dead game. We get attached to the characters. The events that happen are interesting. We want to carry on playing. On the other hand, if the writing doesn't hold up, then no one will want to play their games. It will leave a bad taste in the players' mouths. It will feel like you're doing a chore instead of playing a video game. Plus, it doesn't help that Telltale, well, their games, from a gameplay point of view, is boring, dull, really bad. So, this means the writing is put center stage. It has to be good. Comparing Telltale to other games, one game in my opinion that do what Telltale do but much better is Dragon Age Origins. Yes, you go from A to B, but the choices you make have a deeper consequences to them. How you get there can vary a lot. In addition, gameplay wise, it's really good. Like really good. Like so much control to the player, it's amazing. However, there is this one small indie game which I adore, and in my opinion, it's the only game I've played that truly offers player freedom, player choice, decisions that matter, consequences for your actions. And I've played many games, like lots of games, and trust me, well, don't trust me, but this one small indie game, it's the best at this. What it does is something that Telltale can only dream of doing. Now, what is this indie game? Shh, that's a secret. I'm not going to tell you here. Sorry. So yeah, in a nutshell, Telltale games have used the same formula for all their games for many years. Maybe, just maybe, due to the lack of experimenting, this started their downfall. But maybe the choices they made never really mattered in the end, and they were always going to go bankrupt, no matter what they did.